welcome to episode 325 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. I'm Vince Hunt, creator of Murder Road, and joining me as always is the creator of the webcomic Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
Ooh, a little bit of a pause, but it was worth it in the end. And we're also joined, as always, by the returning commando, the champion that is Tony Esmond.
How you doing?
Good. Good feeling for you, T.
Thank you, mate.
Fighting the fight, waving the flag.
Yes. And as we record this, Tony has just pretty much got through the door after a convention weekend. So me and Dan are going to do what we can to be the caffeine in his veins for the next hour and a half, aren't we, Dan?
Yes.
Don't do cocaine.
Drugs are for mugs.
Kid.
Drugs are for mugs. Yeah.
Winners don't use drugs.
They do a lot, really.
They do. They fairly do. Yeah.
Sometimes they get caught, and sometimes.
I said we should just have the drugs Olympics. Just take as many as you fucking like and just go for it.
Yeah, go for it. That's a good idea.
Just do whatever you want.
Yeah. Think of how brilliant that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's fucking doing 100 meters. It gets off his mind.
Weightlifting, just throwing weights up into the air till they hit planes.
Do they hit planes?
Yeah.
Amazing. That'd be an Olympics I'd watch. Anyway, welcome, folks, to this week's show. It's just the three of us this week, and comic convention season is sort of in swing again. Things are happening again. It's an exciting time for a lot of you people out there, be you creator, comic buyer, or you just love comic conventions. Who wouldn't? But it's all kicking off. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about conventions. We've those who follow us on social media will know that we put out a very interesting data collection poll.
Yeah.
Is that the way to put it? How would you describe it, Dan?
Survey.
There you go. That's what we put out.
Yep.
You know when someone just says a word and you just think, why didn't I just use that word? For fuck's sake. It sounds like I'm more tired than Tony, which can't be true because he's been selling comics.
Anthony is very tired.
Yes. So tired. He's using his full name.
We've already had the debrief where I've told you the not safe for podcast bits of the weekend.
Yeah.
You know what is safe for podcast though?
Comic House.
Oh yes, our lovely sponsor, Comic House. This show is made possible partly due to drugs and our lovely sponsor, Comic House. No, it's not really. We're not really on drugs. But we do use Comic House, who are an indie comic marketplace with a difference. They love the indie comics just as much as we do. Although if we see them in public, we might challenge them to a fight. A little bit of a West Side Story type fight.
I think, to be fair, they'd probably just avoid us.
And they'd be very wise. They're too busy sorting out the huge selection of titles that are on their database on their website.
Oh my god!
And if you
it's like we've done this before.
I know. It's only been several years of us absolutely messing up this. If you self-publish your work, you can list your book on there as well, and start selling your books that way straight away. And also, if you've got digital comics, then for God's sake, put them on their app. It's an amazing app. It's like Netflix for comics, basically. Subscription service, only £3 a month, and you get access to an ever-growing library of digital indie comics that's being updated all the time. For instance, what's on there at the moment, Dan?
We've got some new titles, including The Last of Rival 3, Abyssal Albion. Is that the right word? I don't know I'm not pronouncing that word right. But that looks great. 28-page comic.
Albion.
And it's,
is that it?
Yeah, that's it. And it's led by our friend Ken Reynolds. I've not heard of these creators before.
Hey.
The great old ones have awoken, and with them, death and madness has spread rapidly across the globe. Still, there are a few that remain untouched by this grip of insanity, and it is a pair of such individuals that we now found ourselves following. It looks like a brother and sister taking on Cthulhu and his friends. So
Cthulhu and his friends.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Spider-Man and his friends.
Yeah.
Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Yes, it's great. Also, I checked out the app today, and the number one spot is currently held by Gateway City.
Oh, okay.
Mark Russell Wilson,
nice.
Which is
the collection.
The collection.
Oh, right, okay. That's a good way to get the numbers up, and put your singles on there, and then put the collection on as well.
Yeah,
very wise.
I've not done that, so I will do that.
Yeah, good idea. Get on it.
Because and when Dan does put Vanguard on there, you can access the collections. You can access that as well as all the other issues on Comic House. And there's a 14-day free trial. Find out more. There's like featured sections. There's all kinds. It's a great website to go and find your digital indie comics. So go to comichouse.com today.
You can read kids' comics in it as well, can't you?
Yes, yes. Comics are for everyone, Tony. You know this. I mean, not your comics.
I wish they were for everyone, because think of the sales we'd make.
Oh
yeah.
Amazing, wouldn't it? Oh, dear.
Speaking of comics for everyone,
yes,
are they for everyone? That's the question we're going to be tackling later on in the show.
Don't start with a meaning of life question, Dan.
Yeah.
Before we do though, I just want to say something. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That's sticking in my mind, and I need to get this just out in public.
Yeah.
Loved that show. It was you know when you were a kid and you like superhero comics and stuff.
Fucking loved it. Yeah.
And there's nothing, but it was Spider-Man, Iceman, and Firestar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Iceman, whenever he turned into Iceman, he sort of froze himself into a block and then smashed the block, didn't he? And he was Iceman. That was his sort of transformation. Has he ever done that in comics? And why the fuck not?
I can't think that he has. Doesn't ring any bells.
It was just really cool in the cartoon.
I can't recall him transforming into Iceman. I can't think of a transformation off the top of my head where he's done it in the comic.
In the early days, he looked like a snowman. Do you remember?
Yeah, that wasn't a great design.
Yeah.
But...
yeah.
Snowballs.
Oh God. Yeah. I just suddenly pondered that.
Had a banging theme tune as well. Spider-Man Amazing Friends.
Didn't Stan narrate it or something? Is that right?
Yeah, I think there was a bit like that. And Spider-Man had like a base, didn't he? Where like he turned like a statue over and it turned into a base.
Yeah, the coffee table flipped over to like a computer readout and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Fucking class.
I don't think it was canon.
Classic Spider-Man
series. Yeah.
Oh dear.
It's kind of like very much kind of people are liking at the moment. I can't get into those what ifs on the Marvel thing.
I watched one. I don't like that animation style. It's a bit like a cheap sort of insurance company ad or something.
Yeah, it's 3D that they've tried to kind of zhuzh up to make it look a bit hand drawn and try and make it look better than what it is. I don't really like them.
Fitting a wee buying car ad.
Like I'm not gonna hate. Is gonna hate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come out with a shitty opinion on fucking Swamp Thing and then delete it when all my peers, people in the industry, have a pop at me for it.
Why would you do such a thing, Dan?
Yeah.
Swamp Thing's awesome.
Imagine saying, "Oh, Swamp Thing. Why do boys like Swamp Thing?" Or
Bros, wasn't it, or something? Yeah.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Yawn.
Yeah.
Tony's so tired he's actually like actively audibly yawning now.
I'm just doing sound effects for the rest of my life now.
Oh, amazing.
That did make me laugh this week.
Yeah,
that was good.
Good.
But speaking of good, yes, as we said, comic convention season has kicked off. And should we start off with Tony's fresh off the press, should we say? He's just returned.
Yeah. All the news is fit to print.
Yep. Meanwhile, in Coventry was this past weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talked about it about a month or two ago. What is?
Yeah, we had Simon on, didn't we? It was about just over a month ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it was exciting because it was the first. Well, there's been some small events that sort of happened, but this was one of the first big ones to note, wasn't it? What was it like, Tony? Tell us your adventures. Right.
Well, let me just start with my arrival at Coventry. Right. So
here we go.
I picked up Falpy quite early, and we stopped for I like a coffee at the services. I like to stop and have a coffee. So I had a coffee at the services. Drove into Coventry, which, as the song goes, is an actual ghost town. There was no one about, and made our way to one of the car parks they recommended. Good, great maps. Showed you where all the hotels were, all the car parks, everything. Very good. Get there, and we're on the bottom floor of this car park, so they're early, the ground floor. And there's some fucking crazy drunk bloke in shorts and no shoes trying to run up the slope to the next level. Do you know what I mean? And he keeps legging it, like running up the slope, but then like falling back down again. And I said to Falpy, we're not getting out of the car till he's because he's a fucking maniac. Right, so we sit in the car a couple of minutes, like check our directions and that sort of thing, and he's still there. So I said, "Oh, come on in, let's get out." So we get out, unload the car, close the car, lock it up. We're going to walk away, and he runs over. "Excuse me," and I said, "Yeah," and he's like, I almost confounded him by answering him. Do you know what I mean?
Wasn't expecting that.
There was this long silence. He went, "Can I ask a favour?" And I went, "Not really, mate. No." Then we walked off, and then we walked off for about like 2 or 3 minutes, and then all we could hear from behind us was, "You're gonna die." Like, so at which point all I can hear is like his feet on the wet pavement like this, coming towards us. And I said to Falpy, "I'm going to have to hit this dude when he turns up."
What time was this first thing?
This was like 8 a.m. right? No one about, no shops open,
yeah.
And he's like fucking legging it towards us. And I turn around and look at him, and he's like, he runs off the other way. "You're dead." So that was our initial entry into Coventry and me.
Yeah.
So we think this is going all right. This is all right. Dragging a fucking suitcase across the town centre, So we get there, easy to find, lovely map, blah blah blah. As we arrive, Mark Abnett is unloading his car at the entrance, and he sort of points us the way to go. So we go in. We got 2 tables at the corner of it's like a big marquee in the centre of the old cathedral, which obviously got bombed out, and you can't, no roof, etc. So that was quite a nice little venue. I have to say, overall, extremely well organised.
Okay.
Like,
Excellent.
when you think, so the convention was open 9:30 to 7 p.m. onwards was the drink and draw in the cathedral. But during the day, you had, if you went down some steps, just by it's a grand place, it's an amazing venue. You go down these steps, and at the bottom of the steps is this sort of square, University Square, Town Square kind of thing. And they had like huge TV screens up and a stage. And in this sort of central area was all these, what are they called, battle boards? I don't understand what they are. People draw on them, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Tony,
so.
you old goat.
Yeah. They had all that, and they had music playing and portaloos even. And then next to that was a place called the Herbert Centre, which is like a little museum. And in there was a load more tables. So absolutely lovely setup. Simon did himself proud, I've got to tell you. Super friendly. As soon as we arrived, came and chatted to us throughout the weekend, stayed out for a drink with us, really good geezer. All the staff, lovely. So from that point of view, from a point of view of organisational setup, venue, staff, accessibility, absolutely lovely.
So there was lots of support for exhibitors.
There was, yeah. So we was kind of, one end was small press, and then right at the other end of the tent were like the pros. So you had Al Ewing, Nick Brokenshire, John Higgins, all these sort of guys, and then mixed amongst them, and further down the tent were the rest of us, I'm going to say we did okay on the Saturday sales wise, being completely forthright and honest, we did okay. So we had the Drawn Under the Influence that turned up. Sarah Harris brought that down. I was at a table with Adam Falp and Daryl Thorpe, and opposite us was Mark Abnett and Pete Davis, and it was if the devil could cast his net. Do you know what I mean? We were laughing so much throughout the weekend that people were literally looking over from the other end of the hall going, what is going on at the end of this hall? It was just relentless. It was like when we have a table, just relentless piss taking. You know what I mean? But hilarious. To the point where 4 people got out a packed lunch and we started shouting at him for having a packed lunch. It was that bad, So it's okay. I'm going to say it wasn't, what I'm like, I'll buy, any comic pretty much when I,
Yeah.
It's wasn't a great shopping convention for me. There wasn't much to buy. There was a couple of new faces, small press wise, but a lot of people I recognised from before. A couple of people back on the scene. And it was the first day. Saturday was okay, pretty good sales. We did all right. We're pleased. We had a couple of new books out. In fact, all of our books had never been to a convention before. The tribute press stuff. And 4P had a couple of his books as well extra, and so did Adam. And so everything on our table was new. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't as if we had old stuff that everyone had seen who'd been to a convention previously.
Yeah.
And so we did okay. Second day today was much more of a family day. So it was more parents and kids, and obviously we would panic every time a kid would go near any of our comics, in case they picked them up and looked inside.
Yeah.
So we didn't do as well today. A lot of people turned up, sort of buddies of ours, people we know, just wanted to get out, see a comic convention. Dave Hingley was also in our little group. He was opposite as well. Mark Jackson was there. Nick Brokenshire, as I've said. Ricky from Avery Hill was there. He was quite chatty. Came over and had a good chat. Eamon Clark from Mega City, our buddy. Gary Hill and Conrad. Jason Garrettley, he had a table on the second day in our hall. Drew turned up. Sarah Harris. Jason, her partner. There's a lot of people turned up. So we were sort of, it's like with our table generally, it's a bit of a sort of almost like a community place where people sort of turn up, and hang and stuff. It was a bit like that, I suppose. So there was never a quiet moment. We were never bored, sales weren't brilliant, but whose fault is that, man? If there's loads of people there, it's just that we didn't have the sort of stuff they wanted.
Yeah, it's a tough one as well, because like your first big con, well, I don't know if there's been others, but after all this gone on, it's man, that's a hard one. I don't know how you couldn't. I don't think you could say how it was going to go beforehand, could you? No,
not at all. No. But I mean, we didn't lose any money, so it was pretty good.
Nice one.
I have to say, I think because of the COVID thing, we lost out on Panosian and Dave Johnson being at the venue, at the event.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a huge coup.
Would have been a great one.
The couple of the guests were, I won't name them, but were the same guests you see at every convention.
Okay.
So it was a bit yawny, that one. But yeah, I can't fault really anything, I suppose. I can't really fault the organisation. I think the venue, the vibe, the feeling, the mood. There was the drink and draw on the Saturday night. I was still feeling a bit under the weather, so I hit the showers after we had a late dinner. And the boys went on. I mean, Adam didn't go to bed till like 4:30 or something, I think.
Madman.
Oh my God.
He's a crazy person.
Yeah.
And I think Pete was the same. They were just making me laugh. I got out. I had my breakfast. I was meant to meet Falpy at breakfast this morning. He didn't turn up. Texting, ringing, thinking, "Oh God,"
What's happened?
I was just leaving to come drop stuff at the car and then go back to the venue. And Simon ran out and said, "Oh, Tony, don't worry about Falpy. He was with us till 4 a.m." And I thought, "Oh, that's fine. It'll be all right, So it was that. I think conventions are made up. The legendary conventions or the conventions that we like are made up for a number of reasons. Sales is a minimal part of it for me often. I think the vibe, the way you're looked after, and the sort of the laughs you have make up for. Some of our favourite convention experience is the worst selling experience we've ever had, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Which doesn't compare to this. I know we sold quite well at this, but we had such a laugh, and everyone was sort of in it to win it together. Nick Brokenshire was down one end of the hallway. He'd be down chatting to us, and you saw Al Ewing going around shopping at the stalls and stuff. And yeah, it was all right, man. It was. I'd definitely go back. Definitely. I'd recommend it to other people.
As it drew closer, I was like, "Oh man, I wish I could fucking go." I really did. I was really wanted to.
Yeah. The one thing I think it could have done with is, and I understand the grief you get with dealers, but it could have done with like a little line of long boxes, maybe.
Okay.
Some cheap comics. That Waterstones turned up with a couple of Star Wars jigsaws and Mouse.
Really?
Yeah, they had a table. The first day they'd gone by 1 o'clock, and the lady didn't really look happy. So I don't know. Although she was at the table next to us, so I can't imagine that cheered her up.
Are you upsetting major high street brands again, Tony?
There was some pen company there as well. They had a big table. I don't understand that world, but everyone who came to the table, I'd point at their table and go, "On the way out, those pens are free on that table, so just grab a couple of packs."
Oh my God. Just so you know, when he's at the Awesome Comics podcast table, he's not going to act like this.
What?
Well, he will act like this, but we'll be there to tell you that it's full of shit.
It was honestly, it's like one of those, the conventions where you almost feel like you need a badge to say, I was there when it went off crazy. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I know that me, Falpy, 4P, Pete Davis, that little crowd will have a little nod and a wink to know that we were there that weekend. It's a bit one of those. So it's quite nice that.
What was the if there were any, like taking it on the topic, is like masks, hand washing, all that kind of business. The COVID stuff.
We had hand gel on our table, like a big old pump bottle of it.
Yeah.
Very few people in the tent had masks on.
Okay.
But it was open to the air. It was all the sides were open and stuff. So it was like you were. It was pretty much like you're outside, to be fair. When I went into the museum bit, which is the Herbert, where it is, where the other tables were, I always put a mask on there, and most people did have in there.
Oh, fair enough.
I actually think we've almost like, because Dan, London's full of people wearing masks now, isn't it? Even in the street.
I've only been up there once since the pandemic, and where I went was it was like a ghost town to where usually like.
But if you go to other towns, it depends on the sort of the way the town has coped with it and got used to it. And some places, you walk through Coventry, and I went to a couple of pubs. Nobody, even at lunchtime, had masks on.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
They're still rocking them out where I am.
Yeah,
the masks.
And me. Yeah. Well, we obviously wore them in and out and stuff, but like it was a big marquee. It was like being at a wedding where a load of the sides were open, I suppose.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah.
I guess any mask, well, it's negligible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of places it's personal choice now, isn't it? So.
Yeah. I had some flow tests with me just in case anyone wanted to check, but nobody did, sort of thing, But we had hand gel on us all the time, and we had a big pump on the table, and giving people a squirt of it after we shake hands and stuff. There's a bit of that going on.
I guess you could always like every day after the convention do a flow test if you wanted, if you were really up on it. So have I got it yet on?
Yeah.
I don't know what the turnaround time is from being in contact with someone to.
No, I don't know.
Test.
Yeah. So I'd recommend it. I think we'd do well with the table there. I think, guys, it would be a nice little community one.
I would like to give that a shot. It sounds great. Sounds cracking. And usually the first one's only kind of like you find out what works and what doesn't, and then you can kind of build in it from there. But it sounds like they were firing on all cylinders as soon as they started.
I can only imagine Simon's got some kind of like organisational skill thing, where he's done this sort of thing before, because it was very well organised.
Oh, fantastic! That sounds great.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So leading on from that, I had 2 questions for you, didn't I? Should we pose them now? Do you think? Should we do that?
Yes. Before we get into as Dan corrected me, the survey. We got 2 interesting questions to kick off our little comic convention debate. Of course, straight at the beginning, these is just going to be some talk. These are our thoughts and opinions. None of this is fact. Or
Don't
legal.
Come at us.
Nothing we ever do on this show is legal. What? No.
I think it's a grey area.
Yeah, it's a grey area. But yes, take it away, Tony. Kick us off.
So I suppose this is going to lead into something we're going to talk about for next week as well, in a bit as well. So it's almost like we've got a 2-parter episode, isn't it? I think, because this is something we're going to concentrate on next week as well. But it got me thinking, sitting there and on the drive home today, thinking 2 questions: who are comic conventions for? So currently, who are comic conventions for? And then the second question is, who should comic conventions be for? So.
For me, it's really telling that when you ask me that question, my mind fucking frazzles. I don't know. I couldn't tell you who comic conventions are for. Like,
let me start it off then, because I've been thinking a bit about it, and I can only compare it to hobbies for other people. So, for example, a Star Trek convention is for Star Trek fans.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. A horror convention is for horror fans. Yeah. So for me, a comic convention should be for comic fans primarily. Now, the people who are selling at it might not necessarily be that, but I think we've got to the point now where there's become a real split in this country as to comic conventions are for creators now, and not fans of comics.
Yeah.
Now, if I was a fan of comics and I went to a comic convention and there was no comics to buy, I would feel a bit cheated.
Oh well, I mean, I'm sure there's many people listening, or we've been burned by. You hear the word comic convention, you go, and it's a small little event near you. You think great, and you go there, and there's not any comic books, and it's just
But even beyond that, V, I think you've got a lot of conventions that it seems to be that it's just a snake eating itself of creators buying off each other.
Yeah.
So you feel like it should be focused more on like the punter coming in, as opposed to saying, all these creators are going to be from the small press, which outside of the small press,
nobody knows who they are.
No one knows.
It's almost like I'm a fan. I'm a big Marvel Comics fan. I'm going to go to this convention. I want to engage with my hobby. And let's face it, Marvel and DC do make up 95-96% of all the comics sold in this country, probably. I want to engage with my hobby. What is there for me?
It's different levels of comic convention as well. I mean, for instance, an MCM isn't a comic convention; it's a pop culture convention. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because it's got a Comic-Con on it, that's by the by. That's just the branding now. But that is a pop culture shopping experience.
But I think on the other end of that, you've got comic conventions that are basically just small press creators turning up to sell their comics.
There has to also be when you're a small press and indie creator, there's also understanding that it's only going to go so far. I think small press and indie creators that need the bump of a bigger name. Do you know what I mean? The joy of a lot of people turning up to see like a Jim Lee at a convention, while they're there, they might bump into your comic. And all of a sudden,
that's important, man. I would love to sell to some Atomic Hercules to some guy who loved Marvel's Hercules. I'd love that.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for the people that do a little bit of shopping with their leftover money after they've come and they've got their originals, they've got their signed books from certain and let's face it, when it comes to a lot of when you have the pro names at these conventions, some people will just turn up, get what they want from those pros that they came to see, and then they'll fuck off again. And that, you know what? That's completely their prerogative.
Fine by that, man. Fine by that.
Completely fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But then you also get a percentage of those people, don't you, who do that and they've got a little bit left, and so I'm just gonna have a wander around the
I'm in it now. I may as well fucking have a look around.
I compare it to the horror convention where people go along to buy horror movies and meet the stars and the directors, but there's someone's made a fan movie. Like a little Jason Voorhees fan movie. And someone buys that. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be a fan movie, but it can be like I've made my own horror movie. I've got a table at this convention. Maybe you'd like that too. I think we concentrate a little bit too much on the small press. We said this before, that this country is becoming a small press convention centric. Once you get outside of the pop culture stuff, it's all about the small press now, and it's too small a puddle these days. We need to reach out a bit.
You're right. Because I want my comics to be read.
Totally. The difficulty we also have is comics are an ever evaporating puddle in some ways. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. That speaks to the larger problem, doesn't it? You're right, Vic.
As we've discussed on the show many times, the big two or the big professional comics aren't necessarily as they're not as big as they were. So there's levels of it, isn't it? I think. Back to your questions, Tony. I think comic conventions should be for. In total agreement, like I say, they should be for comic fans. And
you can be a fan of all kind of comics. Web comics can be anything.
A comic and fair play to anyone running any kind of comic festival or comic convention, and your heart's in it and you're not in it for the money. Shout out to all you people out there. Also, to answer the second question, they should also be appealing to everyone. Do you know what I mean? They should be open to everyone. They are for comic fans, but there shouldn't be this is for us. This isn't for you. I think that.
If you saw this like in the local press, a family we'll go down the comic convention today, and you're going to be all right down there. There's going to be
and that's what was today actually. That's what was this weekend, and that was going to be actually interesting to say that, because that was my next thing, is to say that I think, and there was absolutely loads of families at this thing today, which is
that's
great.
Brilliant.
It's not brilliant for my sales, but I don't.
No,
I would. Do you know what I mean? I would rather we had the
Yeah.
families there than not. I think it's great, and I think he did reach out, Simon, to the community, and everyone was looking around. Do families buy comics though? In general terms,
I think it's sometimes it's the turnover of and I've seen it. The parents are there, and the parents aren't comics fans, but if they approach your table and their kid is interested, and you engage both, and you engage both, and you can that converts into sales. I hate using that term. Do you know what I mean? It's so cold, but it does. It's
as long as you do it in a nice way. I think as long as you're like, oh, these are fun. You got. How long was your journey here? If you wanted them to read something on the way back, then this would probably be pretty fun, and it's a pretty reasonable price. But up to you. I'm not. I hate the hard sell.
Because
I hate
also,
it.
Yeah, because also like the whole the art of selling sometimes is like I'm a sucker for a nice person as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
me too.
I mean, the kids probably aren't going to care. They're going to look at like the cool comics and your cool characters and like the artwork, and they're going to be bought into that. They'll probably, as soon as they pick it up, they've got an idea that they want it anyway, and then they'll try and talk their parents into buying it. But the parents are the ones. A lot of the time,
you got the money.
Yeah. So
the purse strings,
you got to be. You really got to engage with them as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because you win them over, and then you've won the kid's pocket money.
Do you know what? If the kid comes over and the parents, maybe they ain't got enough money on them to buy it or whatever. It's an expense that they don't really need. To run a family in the current climate.
Yeah.
I don't mind giving them a badge or something and letting them walk away happy.
Yeah.
I'm as happy as that. As if I'd sold one there.
Yeah. The kids walk away with a poster or badges and things like that.
If they got a positive connotation from coming here, that's
I think it depends on your product. I think, for example, it does us no good. There's certain sort of indie crews that it does no good to, but it's good to see. And if we can convert 1 out of 100, then we're doing all right, aren't we? But I think just aiming it at a community thing, it's a family event. You're not going to sell many. I think you need to spread bet the invite. Yeah.
We kind of need that kind of the bigger name so we can kind of latch on underneath, like.
Yeah, we're Marvel and DC at these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then they don't seem that bothered.
They don't.
That's pure conjecture by me. I don't know. They don't seem to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like all the big conventions we see, you would have thought they had these mass, like you'd have a great big Marvel stand pumping out fucking those essential books at a discount price, or the DC doing something similar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just getting the comics out there, like this is kind of like indoctrination and brainwashing.
But I think a lot of the times you only see something like that, probably like an MCM, where they'll just have a booth, they can run it like a shop, and then do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a Panini 3 for
because I saw I think when we actually did MCM that year, there was
I bought a few off them.
There was a couple of stands like that, wasn't it? Like you say, 3 for 2, that kind of thing.
But that LS London Super Comic Con, we was doing that with the fucking Valiant. They were doing like a ridiculous sale.
Yeah.
We got loads of books.
Oh yeah, they totally mugged us.
Yeah.
I'll have that one. That one and that one, please.
Yeah, it was only like 5 books for 20 quid or something.
Yeah.
Something really.
I don't understand these conventions that run conventions, and we don't have people like that along. Even some of the bigger conventions these days barely have any back issues. And I understand the problem with dealers. Dealers apparently, I've heard anecdotally off a couple of people, try and get a free table and don't want to pay for it and all this sort of thing. But I think
they got to fucking understand that like they want to run a business and you're going to have to pay money to have that table. I don't understand.
I think it does improve the convention experience if you can buy a load of 50p back issues or something.
That's fine, but even like a nominal amount, like for the day, the idea of getting one gratis is a bit. Come on, mate, you're going to you might do well here.
I do think there's very few small press creators who make their money back anymore. I think it's becoming an increasingly expensive hobby.
Shit, people make their money back?
Yeah, I know, that's right. Very few people do it, don't they? I mean, if you factor in the price of petrol, a couple of nights in a hotel, and the table fee, you got to sell a lot of comics, and I bet you don't.
Yeah, Thought Bubble for me is going to be a jolly. Like,
so with me.
It's like I'm not considering. I'm going to make a load of money here.
But with that in mind, that in mind, I think, and certainly like many creators for a lot of these bigger conventions, like I'm going there and obviously have my books out, but it's always a good time catching up with people. That's great, but also if you're just going out there and hang out with your mates, why have you fucking got a table from someone else who could be at that table and actually put effort into it? Everyone has to put effort into it, I think. Do you know what I mean?
You want to sell them. We want to sell them, but you're not going to,
Yeah, I want to be there to sell books, but I could sell all the stock I've got and that wouldn't fucking cover the money that's out there to get there.
Which makes me wonder, is it becoming a hobby that we'll see people in, and I've already seen this, we'll see people in for maybe 3 or 4 years until they realise, well, it's just a really expensive way of burning money,
Yeah, a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people in our small press industry, not industry, but like they've sort of like with Duello, and then they've kind of realised, fuck me, this is a grind, and there's no fucking money in it. And a lot of people, it's frustrating when you see people come in with this. I've got a screenplay, and I'm going to transform it into a comic, and this is how we're going to make it.
They come and go so quickly, don't they?
Yeah, you're gonna be come and gone. It's not. You're not done the fucking groundwork here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much importance on new readers that I think, and getting your book out to people that you don't know, and that's always like what I'm looking for. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking for the books from creators that I don't know. Do you know what I mean? When I'm stalking the halls of a convention, I'm trying to discover at least 2 books minimum that I don't know anything about any of that. I discover a creative team. That's always what I want to come away from, discovering something new. Because that's the Indian small press world. That's what it's about. People trying things, trying new things, and the only way we all grow is if we don't cannibalise ourselves. Everyone's got to, we've gotten to this point because everyone's sort of pushing everyone else up.
But mate, the quality's there. The fucking books you see coming out of the small press.
Yeah.
Some of it.
Like the Battle Badges, the La Mariposa. Yeah. It's like this. Like if this could find the audience, there would be just a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot though. I remember I saw someone open a book today as I walked past, and I literally sort of had to turn my head away.
Fuck. It's the old thing, is it? Like anyone can do it, but should everyone do it? It's a tricky one.
Yeah, it's a funny situation.
Comics, you should make comics. If you want to make comics, you should make comics. There you go.
Yeah, just try and learn and do them well.
Yeah, I'm not going to say to anyone don't make. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm not going to say don't make comics, but
learn about comics. But I think the numbers will dwindle as people, because there's a lot of people for previous years who thought, oh, I could do a comic, that's a good way to make money, I can do a comic, comics are big, aren't they, then I can get a movie in. And you see these people in it for the wrong reason, and you see them sort of like a lot of them are the the movie script guys, or the people who set up a small company because they think it can translate into an HBO series or something, and they do dwindle away and they disappear away. I think we are at the point now where for every convention we do as a table, we basically use our own money and lose our own money doing it, don't we? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, hotels, Airbnbs, they're not cheap,
I think the model for it is that you should look at an online thing like you did with Tribute Press. You fund yourself with the Kickstarters. You keep this money kind of ticking in, and the appearing at cons is like a PR thing in a way of trying to just get some audience you might not see online and stuff. But the majority of comic buyers are going to be able to get your product through the post. Yeah.
Or as Falpy said, as he turned up, late after his 2 hours sleep, getting the Tribute brand out there, my friend.
Yeah. Brand.
By talking shit in a bar that we did,
Brand awareness.
We had this curry, right? And it was me, 4P, Falpy, Pete Davis and Dave Hingley. And Dave Hingley was between me and Pete Davis. And I don't know if Dave's quite quiet or just was utterly confused at us all shouting at each other for 2 hours during a curry.
As you do.
Yeah.
I always kind of get a bit like when we talk about it and it's like, oh, fuck me, it's all doom and gloom. But I feel like we can kind of change it, you know what I mean? We can kind of put the work in and make a difference.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, the sales of like the Dogman and the manga stuff, the readers are out there.
Oh, mate, I was pushing the pod. There was a number of people going. I said, "Oh, we got a small press." Oh, have you? What's that? There'll be people listening to this for the first time because of this weekend.
Welcome,
and that's only spreading love.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
As we always say to new listeners, it's not always this bad. Sometimes it's pretty. It's hard.
Sometimes it gets even worse. Yeah.
Sometimes it's all right.
yeah. We're aiming for mediocre, and one day, God damn it, we'll get there.
Yeah, reach for the stars and all that. But yeah.
Oh dear. But with that in mind, the one thing I'm looking forward to is like obviously with Thought Bubble, sort of approaching fast. Is I love it's like going to a music festival. When I used to do that back in the day, I would see the list of bands, and then I'd check out the ones I don't know, and I'd listen to some bands and see which ones I wanted to check out on the day. I'd do that with comic conventions. I'd look at the lists, and there's obviously the certain names of got to get their new book by that, and got to get a new book by that, and blah blah blah. But there's also like, let's see what ones I can discover, and like some new creators, and that. I mean, our Thought Bubble special last year. A lot of those new voices came about because I was shopping literally on the pages, and it's always fun to do that, and I highly recommend like step beyond what you know. I think.
Yeah,
I do worry that we're. It's sort of what Pat Mill says. I worry that we're moving away from it being a mass medium to being this sort of cliquey thing.
Yeah,
and I want the guys who enjoy Spider-Man comics and stuff to enjoy it. And come to these conventions and get something out of it, as I did when I was a teenager.
Yeah. It was like E.T. I think kind of going to these things was like fucking hell. It was real meaty heroes, and I was just, this is amazing to be around all these creative people who are.
Yeah, look, there's a copy of
Spider-Man
Annual 1 or something that I'd never seen before in the flesh, and it's just amazing. Yeah.
I mean, it's an art form. There's a reason it's called an art form. And I think no matter what genre of comic you make, you should never make judgments or look down upon any other type of comic. And I feel that there is that on both sides.
We've had that before. We've had I don't really read superhero comics. We hear that all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
One ridiculous nonsense.
And
some of the best comics ever made are superhero comics.
Yeah. But at the same time, you also get people who read superhero comics like, I don't read anything else if it's not superhero comics. And it's like sometimes everyone's biting off their nose to spite their face.
But Dan makes superhero comics in the small press scene. They dig that. That's your audience, Dan, isn't it? The people who were buying Marvel UK stuff and stuff like that. They're an easy sell for you.
Yeah, I mean, not to be. I make the comics that I used to really enjoy reading, and I think a lot of people did too, and they seem to me to be vastly underserved nowadays.
Yeah.
And I don't mean by the small press. I'm saying it's just those stories of adventures and heroes and drama and action. Do you know what I mean? Not sort of the current hot topic political issue that you're going to get smashed over the head with. Sound like a grumpy old
there's
fucking.
So much. I mean, think about like comics now. There's so much available to everyone. We're not the pond anymore. It's the ocean, and it's easy to get lost. And I think sometimes. Go on, Dan.
I was fucking moaning. Well, I read that Batman '89, the first one. I was like, it's not really my cup of tea. It doesn't feel like Batman. When I got that Batman '89, I thought I'm going to get back and be brought back into the Burton. All dark and gothic, and it's just going to be fun. Another ride, the first issue was like, I'm not sure about this, but against my better wishes, I got like the second issue, and then like
you addict, you.
Yeah,
glutton for punishment. Some would say
it sort of brings up like kind of how there's is it the South Side in Gotham, and how Harvey Dent's from there, and basically it's like the black neighborhood, and it's all like the police are like really violent to the community there, and Batman doesn't really go there. I was like, where's this fucking come from? Why is this in this comic? Like, this is like a modern day. It's not a modern day issue, you know what I mean? But it's like, can you just have some fucking Batman flying around throwing smoke pellets in the Batmobile and stuff, rather than sort of like
where's the Danny Elfman Oingo Boingo music?
Yeah, just Jack Nicholson slashing up paintings and just the
dancing
kind
to
of,
Prince.
Yeah, I was just really, we're going to do social issues again in this. Okay. I wasn't sure about going to the second edition. I did, and I wish I fucking had.
The art put me off a little bit. I think the lack of anyone looking like anyone.
I mean, I can understand you can't have the likeness and stuff, but like the Batman has great big.
They have
white
in the
eyes.
Superman one.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, maybe just couldn't get it off Nicholson or whoever. You know what I mean? But the Superman one, from what I'm seeing, looks like it does.
That said, the Catwoman does look quite like Michelle Pfeiffer, but I think anyone in the costume might do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think you would, Dan.
Yeah,
fair enough. If you're in the costume. I mean, I paid to see it, man.
Judge for yourself.
Well, lovely. Look forward to that on his Patreon next week. It's only on the high tiers you get that.
Yeah, platinum level.
And brings forth tears.
Yes. Anyway, as we said earlier, with comic conventions coming in, and obviously the horrible global bastard, sort of being a major part of the world for the past couple of years, we thought it prevalent. We thought Bob would just around the corner to put out a bit of a survey. Well, Dan the Man Butcher, ever sort of, you're like a journalist, Dan. You know, really getting to the heart of the matter and like getting information that people
get to the nub of it.
Yeah,
you
nice bit of data. People love a bit of data.
We love data on this show. I mean, 324 episodes before. You know how much we love data. But Dan, if you want to talk us through the survey and kick us off.
Yeah, well, I thought since we've got we had the Meanwhile Con come up and Meanwhile Coventry, we've got Thought Bubble just around the corner.
And Lakes is off.
And Lakes, yes. And any number of, there's a Bath Comic Con next week, is that right?
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, who knows?
So that's the one that the woman out of Gladiators is at?
The Jet? Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, Joe, I'm just going out to the shops. I won't be long.
I'll come with you. No, that's all right.
No need. I'll sort it. You rest, darling.
I'm not adding any credence to what you're saying. I can neither confirm nor deny that this will be accurate.
So, on the Awesome Comic podcast social media, various channels, I put together a quick survey called Con Fever. No, I didn't call it Con Fever. It's the Awesome Comics podcast survey. Conventions a small matter of COVID, and we asked listeners and anyone who saw the survey a few questions about how they feel attending comic book cons and comic cons coming back with the current state of the pandemic,
wasn't there? And then everyone, there was some comments from people, wasn't there? Do we want to go through each one individually and then cover? How do we want to do this?
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess we got roughly just under 150 responses.
Thank you to everyone. Who obviously gave us your thoughts and voted and stuff. The whole point of something like this is to gather information, see what the feeling is like from the people that actually are going to these conventions, or you lovely people that love comics and stuff.
Yeah.
Because all of us have, we've got the excitement, we've also got the worries, and it's all about information is the most important thing when it comes to issues like this. So. Yeah.
So the first question was, how happy / confident are you in attending or tabling at a Comic-Con within the next 6 months? And the answers were either very confident, unsure, or extremely unsure. And the breakdown on this was quite interesting. We got very confident came in at 12%, confident came in at 35.2%, unsure came in at 30.3%, and extremely unsure came in 22.5%. And you had a nice little breakdown for this, didn't you, Tony? Or an observation?
Yeah, well, it's you can make what you will of statistics, can't you? It's one of those sort of things, and to interpret this sort of survey. But if you just divide it into two, the confident area and the unsure area, then the unsures win it very slightly.
Yeah.
So the biggest one was that people were confident, but if you split it into the two confidence against the two unsures, most people were, by a small margin, unsure, which is interesting. And bear in mind, a lot of our audience do conventions.
It's quite split, really is split.
Just
off the middle. I would say. But it ticks over to people are unsure. But yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't sure what I was expecting of that. What about you, Vince? How did you feel that was going to fall? If you was going to call that,
I find these like fascinating as well, especially in this area, because like purely day-to-day experience of life. If you're just going to the shops or anything like that, and sometimes I'm unsure about just going to a fucking Tesco's at the moment. So with Comic-Cons, I think it's I think what I can say about I think across the board, I think these results are understandable. I don't think any of them are like, these people are crazy. None of them are like that. I can understand.
Yeah. There's a lot of uncertainty out there.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of uncertainty.
A lot of division.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. Some of it is misplaced uncertainty. There's also a lot of confidence, and some of that is misplaced confidence. It's 50. There's. I think everyone has to be careful, obviously, but I totally understand.
Yeah, very confident was by far the smallest.
Yes.
Of the three quarters or the 4 quarters on this, wasn't it? Yeah. It really was. Yeah.
Only 12% that one. I mean, if I was going to answer, and I won't press you guys for your answer, I'd probably put unsure, because I'm not. I'm pretty much on the line. I'm not kind of like, oh fuck, I'm really concerned about this. Yeah. Then I'm not all the way. Oh yeah, there's no problem here whatsoever.
I would say, Dan, I'm the same as you. And don't get me wrong, I can't wait for Thought Bubble and to hang out with these boomers.
Yeah.
These absolute ding dongs for a couple of days. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see you lovely people talk about comics and like do everything. And I know they're putting in a hell of a lot of work for it. Just from a personal perspective, I'm just unsure about, because I'm unsure about a lot of things. I think it's just natural, and there is a, certainly, I as a person, I'm going back into work, back into the office now. I'm no longer working from home, and I've gotten used to the rhythm of it, and like obviously being careful, taking things sensibly, but the first week or two I did it, there was real fucking social anxiety. Like I was in a bad place for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I just couldn't get my head to it. I was.
Okay.
It was a bit nerve wracking. Do you know what I mean? Just to go from like these different to go from nothing to everything. It's an assault on the senses sometimes. And as we all know, with conventions themselves can be an assault on the senses anyway.
Can I say then, as someone who slightly is sort of in the sort of timeline of going to conventions, and took a couple of steps ahead of you guys,
definitely,
because I've now done one. I feel very confident.
Okay.
Because I've done it, and I've thrown myself into the deep end, and we've all done it, and we've come away and we're happy.
Yeah.
And
that's also your experience of how things have been placed and been, is it all those the precautions or the structuring, what's the organisation of these events, the way these people have handled these sort of things has given you extra confidence, has put your mind at ease about some things?
Maybe. I mean, there's no secret, I was extremely poorly a few weeks ago, and I didn't think I'd get there. Genuinely, the night that I was in hospital, there was no way I thought I'd make it to a convention, and with a bit of rest and stuff. But even in that sort of slightly pummeled state, I was all right. I was happy. Everyone was laughing. There's big smiles. It was. A couple of people came around with masks on and then came back without masks on because they realised we were in this sort of open air environment. I'd do it again tomorrow. Put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm that confident around it. But I think that's because I've sort of got, I've jumped in the sea with the shoulders under. Do you know what I mean? It's like that,
Yeah.
Mine's. I think the unsureness that I'm coming from is because I've not.
Yeah.
I've not even fucking been back into. I've only been back into the office once since lockdown.
And let's face it,
it's this uncertainty.
Yeah, I think, and let's face it, it's not necessarily just about the fact that you might catch COVID. A lot of it is we're sort of slightly socially inept these days, aren't we? Because we don't interact with people face to face as much. And there's something about me thought, we're like for chatting at tables. All we do all day is we get a sore throat, don't we? At the end of the day, because we just talk non-stop. And part of me thought, well, can I get back into that? Is it? You know, because there's some people come to the table, and usually I leave them to Vince, but they can be utterly boring, and you kind of got to make conversation yourself. And you kind of think, oh Christ, can I really do that? And you can, man, you can.
Yeah,
it's not been that long with the same people. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I think would be my advice. You'll be fine. Yeah, come to our table. And there's some people that I've never met in real life. I've only ever met them on, you know, drink and draws or Zooms and stuff. And big smiles. As soon as we see them, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think when you're in that sort of, like I say, it's not until when you jump into the water you realise you can swim, that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not as cold as you think it is. Yeah.
I went to a wedding the other weekend. Didn't know anyone. It was lovely. Food was absolutely fucking cracking.
Do you get trashed?
Nice.
No, I didn't. I was driving. Do you know what I mean? But you know me, I'm a man of the people.
What about
so
did we get any Earth, Wind and Fire?
Fans. Hey?
Any Earth, Wind and Fire? Any moonwalking? Any dancing?
Did you catch
the bouquet? Did you catch the bouquet?
Well, yeah.
He's elbowing people out the way.
Yeah, I absolutely nutted someone in order to get it.
Yeah.
And then I told Joe it was time to leave.
Yeah.
Right, time to go get your bag.
Yeah.
So
right, they're about through the bouquet. Get the car started, and I'll be with you in a minute. I'm going to be throwing elbows.
I've got a pocket full of sandwiches. You're right for tomorrow, sweetheart.
So, should we roll on to the next question?
Yeah. Second one.
Okay.
Second one. So, we asked, do you think documentation of being double jabbed should be necessary in order to gain entry to an event?
This was the biggest landslide, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we had yes, no, or maybe. And the yeses came in at 67.1, the no's 12.6, and the maybes 20.3.
Okay.
Which is fairly kind of...
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say straight up, I'd say yes.
Yeah, of course. I don't have a problem with that. I've got it written on a card in my pocket. I have it all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't really... Yeah. It doesn't bother me too much. I don't know. I've really mixed feelings about this one. I don't really know where I'm standing on myself.
I think because of this whole, with COVID and everything, sometimes the grander populace, they're all thinking, well, I'm fine. Yeah, but you're not just thinking about you. That's the whole point. And if just showing a card to say you got 2 jabs makes other people feel better, then fucking do it. Do you know what I mean?
I'm with you, man. I think as well. I think we live. Everyone's like, this is restraining my sort of social, my democratic freedom, having to prove stuff. You just paid to park. You just kept to the speed limit. You didn't shoplift in fucking the newsagents. It's just another rule of society.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think if events have these things in place, and they clearly say these things in place, don't fucking argue with them about it. It's because you don't be a dick. It's as simple as that. If you can't prove it, then it sucks. Or if you haven't got it, then you won't be allowed in. If there's rules to things, rules are there for a reason. Everyone loves fun, and there's nothing more fun than safe fun.
I think I've still got that card in my wallet, I think, but I don't know, how would you go about proving you have had the jabs?
That's not a fake, you mean?
If you didn't have, say you lost that card, or you didn't hang on to it, or whatever reason, and you think, oh shit, I've got to prove to...
It depends where you are in the country, isn't it? There's ways of doing it with apps and stuff now, isn't there? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. So
there are ways of getting it. I think you can get it off your doctor, can't you? That's right.
If you do forget your card, there's surely, people go out and forget their cards, or if they're on the bloody cardboard, so someone's put them in their pocket and then fucking put it in the wash, haven't they?
Yeah.
There is other ways.
Just photocopy your mates. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
It used to be you'd tip X the name out, but like we're Photoshop wizards now. Don't need to do that.
Yeah. So once again, I understand. I completely understand the results to this one.
Okay.
So,
what was the next one? I forgot now. Oh, yeah.
Next one. Do you think holding a Comic-Con in the next 6 months is ill-considered stroke reckless?
It was the use of the word reckless, Dan.
That. Put the cat among the pigeons.
Yeah.
We've got yes, no, maybe. Again, we've got no 42%. Yes, 21%, and maybe 37.1%.
Oh, that's a really weird split to me, I think.
Yeah.
It's nice that the, no is so big, but there's a lot of other colour space in that circle, isn't there? You know.
Yeah, the maybes are big.
I think it's very interesting because pretty much across the board there's the same amount of responses for all of these. I think there's one less on the first one. And it's the same sort of group of people that are answering these questions. So when you put that third one up against that first one, it's the unsure. You know, it's people are unsure about things, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think across the board people are unsure about a lot of things anyway because it's all about information. People don't know where they are a lot of the time.
I think maybe it's important to say here, V, as well, is it at this point, because the world of COVID is now our sort of regular news cycle, isn't it? And I think it's worth mentioning at the moment we are not in any form of lockdown. There are certain restrictions going on, and the Delta variant is on the rise again.
God, yeah. I tell you what, there's so many variants. It's like
so when people look
90s
back,
comic boom, isn't it? Fucking
yeah. But at the moment, we're anything between 200 and something and maybe 50 deaths a day at the moment.
Yeah.
So it is a time of uncertainty. For anyone who goes back and listens to this episode at a later date, they'll go, "Oh, it's all changed since then." But this is where we sit at the moment.
We can only comment on what's going on at the moment. I mean, they've said that thing about the winter working, haven't they? Like they might change it, or which. As if everyone starts gearing back to go into the office and sets it up, and then actually we need to get everyone back home working again.
Yeah,
it's going to be fuck me. That's I said my heart goes out to event organisers because at the moment things seem to be able to change.
Yeah,
over a weekend,
especially if it's your job.
Tough.
That's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, very tough.
Yeah, you're standing on ice that's constantly moving, really, aren't you? So it's really fair play.
Let's face it, I could have died coming out the car park today, so that's fine.
Was that because that mad bloke?
Mad bloke wanted me to die. Yeah.
Well, actually, no. He ran away and said you were dead.
Yeah, that's right. And
did
I
he say
do him a favour.
You will die? That's all of us.
Yeah.
So
that's a pretty
shit insult. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna get old.
Oh, that hurts.
You should have said, mate. Everyone wants to go to heaven. No one wants to get dead. That's a Screwface from Mark for Death there.
Oh, right.
Jesus Christ. That was so specific. I thought he's just quoted something there.
Yeah. I don't even think that Seagal wrote that line. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you to the bank. Blood bank.
I remember that one when he's facing off against that mob man. And the mob guys, I'm Jimmy fucking Fingers and I made fucking man. And Seagal shoots him in the head and said, God made men. I was like, that probably sounded good in your head, but it doesn't really make it.
There's that famous story, isn't there? I can't remember who plays the sidekick in Dread. He's male gigolo, European gigolo, that bloke. You know the one I mean?
Yeah.
Rob Schneider. He tells a story apparently where he walked through the lot in Hollywood and he finds Steven Seagal sitting on a step crying. And he says to him, "What's up?" And he went, "I've just read the greatest script ever written." And he says, "Oh, wow. Okay, who wrote that?" And he went, "I did." Of course he did.
Yeah.
God. Some people think that about their comics probably as well, don't they?
Yes, I think you might be right. Yeah.
But I think the results, especially if off the Seagal back to the pie charts, I think it is obviously people are uncertain of things, so it's real clarity of information is what people need and want. From things, which is one reason why next week we'll be getting a bit more information.
Yes, that's the plan. Very interesting.
We'll get into that in a bit. We did.
Any comments there you want to read out?
There was a bunch of responses, Dan. If you want to pick out a couple, thank you to everyone that did do the responses. We're not going to read them all out, otherwise this would be the entire show, and we'd be like points of view, which isn't what. Do you want to?
If I read one, do you guys want to take a look for and pick out a couple?
Okay, yeah. Can I just pick one out to start with and say whoever wrote "I need money ... not helpful."
Need the money. I'll go on.
So just to clarify before we start, before the responses, it said if you answered in the negative to the questions above, when would you consider attending a Comic-Con and why?
Yeah.
Take it away then.
There's 80 responses, so a lot of people responded here, and they're all anonymous. I don't know who filled these in, so I got one here that said, that's tough to say. On one hand, I do understand the whole we need to learn to live with it argument, but I also think that the rates going up and the talk of a booster jab becoming more prominent, it just feels very, very risky to put a lot of people together in a hall/convention centre when even masks aren't mandatory by law anymore. I presume this is going to be more UK-centric, the results we've got here.
Yeah, there were a few. I know there's a few US people, and I got retweeted out to some US accounts, isn't it? Yeah. Did you want me to do one? Or
yeah, go for it.
So this person would attend after we have 95% national vaccination and cases have been falling for at least 4 months. That's quite a large statement, that one.
Yeah, I don't know when that would be. I guess it's literally that person would wait till see that.
So that point, then, yeah.
Just to piggyback off that, there was someone that said, I would consider attending a Comic-Con when the pandemic is actually over. And I think this brings to a point that I believe this is the new normal. There's so many people.
It's like
think,
flu, isn't it? It's like going to be like the flu jab, I think.
When it returns to normal, it's not going to return. We're not returning to the world we had before. We're not. I don't think. We maybe get to that same sort of rhythm, but we'll still have we'll still have vaccinations and jabs and all that kind of
casual sex.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just going to be us at Thought Bubble with our table.
I'm very casual about it. Yeah.
Sometimes he doesn't even know it's happening. Yeah.
I got one here that's quite interesting. I think convention organisers are damned if they do and damned if they don't. Which is interesting. They've been cut off from financial support at this point, so some of them can't afford to not run the show. What does that mean? I'm not sure if I know what that means. So they've been cut off from financial support at this point. So of them
they've got no money coming in.
So they need to run. So what they're saying is they're running them because they need to run them for financial reasons.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know what conventions they're thinking of.
Okay.
Because a lot of conventions over here are obviously run with arts funding and stuff like that as well, Okay, interesting.
Got one here. Considering we're Con of the year, True Believers has already announced it's not happening next year, 2022 at the earliest. But for megacons like MCM or similar, I'd need some pretty hard evidence of both COVID protocols and enforcement of them to even think about going back.
Yeah,
anytime soon.
I'm totally. I have no information about this. Completely uninformed. But just personally, I'm a bit worried that that's not going to be structured enough. It's not going to be taken seriously. No matter how many times they say, oh yes, we'll be doing this, it's such a massive event that it's so much is going to slip through, I think. A funny one. There's one here that said, I believe that 2023 would be a better indicator. The talk of booster shots is growing, so 2022 would be the year to really have it become a consistent thing, similar to the flu shot. And 2023 might be the fairer option to work with.
Yeah. Okay, I've got one here. Would prefer to see screens at tables, as we see in cafes, etc. Contactless payment everywhere. Masks and proof of vaccination. Not difficult to arrange or adhere to, but this is England, so no doubt it'll just be doors open and don't tell me what to do, etc., etc. I think it says cynical from Croydon, but I mean, ideally, there's a lot of that going on in that I think would be ideal. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the things we had is we had comics out on stands that people could read, and then they obviously purchased one, that wasn't the reader copy.
Yeah,
we did have gloves available at the table, but nobody really took up on that. I think having the screen in front of your product's very difficult. It's not like I'll have a cappuccino and a croissant. You sort of it's a browsing thing, isn't it?
Was there a lot of reader copies, and you kept all the stock behind the table, that kind of thing?
We had reader copies on little stands and then piles behind them. If you see what I mean.
Yeah. Which I think is the way to go. You have your sacrificial lambs, as it were.
Yeah.
Which you have to have, and most of the time, if you've got the book out of the front of the table anyway, and in the past, unless it was your last book, you're giving them a fresh copy. That's normally what I would do. I
don't let
the book
that's
on the
why
table. It's like here, have a fresh one. So it just makes sense. Yeah.
We've got one here that's interesting. Having attended and helped run Pride CAF, it's all about how people treat it. As a person attending, I would still wear a mask, keep my distance where possible, and use hand sanitizer often. Have some good signs to remind people to keep their distance and keep hands clean. Have people behind the tables keeping their distance and wear a mask if it makes them feel safer. I'm personally looking forward to attending Thought Bubble as a visitor, but I'm also very aware that the risk that brings, and I'll be hoping to minimize that where possible. I hope that helps. It does. Yeah. Do you think it's kind of onus on con goers now, con convention organisers, to say this is the precautions we'll be taking, this is what we expect of people?
I think so.
Almost on a board outside as well. I think you need that.
I think so. And then because there's only so much that a convention organiser can do during the day, clearly state it. But then, as always, it's up to responsibility, for the people attending to be responsible as well. I think it's on everyone basically because of this situation that we all find ourselves in. We've all just got to work together. Otherwise, these events aren't going to fucking happen anymore. It's as simple as that. If we can't get it to work, it's not going to work.
One of the ones I saw here, it says that they'd be happy to go when numbers stop rising. Now, that's a difficult one to judge, isn't it? When you've got to plan a convention at least 6 months in advance.
Yeah. It's tricky. The comments do echo exactly what the poll said. Obviously, it's a lot of uncertainty,
and certainly if you're uncertain, if you really don't risk it if you don't want to risk it. Do you know what I mean? We're not here to sort of say you'll be fine. do you know what I mean? But everyone just be safe and do what's best for you. And that goes for the organisers as well, because they're going through a hell of a stressful time. I can't imagine. Meanwhile, the Lakes and Thought Bubble, everything those guys have gone through to sort of put this all in place. So, I hope that the general public also is aware of that as well, because it's not just comic conventions aren't just we're going to put on an event and that's it. Now it's almost like convention organisers have got another sort of reason for people to complain about them in some way, and it doesn't. I don't know. If you look on social media, it doesn't take much for people to complain, does it?
No. Oh, what on social media? You think?
Yeah. So
there is the elephant in the room here is that there is possibly the biggest conspiracy theory we've ever seen. Is the COVID conspiracy theory, and it is believed by a lot of people in this country, and a lot of people don't intend to get vaccinated. A lot of people don't even believe it exists, and we're not talking like small groups of people. We're talking large numbers, millions probably. So there is always going to be those people. You can't. We're not going to get to 100% vaccination. No. We're never going to get
the size of those protests are only kind of a small reflection of the actual people that hold those beliefs.
Yeah,
there's going to be there's a large portion of people that won't get the vaccine.
Yeah, loads. I come across people almost daily. The bloke in our local, we got a local Oxfam near my office, and it's great for comics. And I pop in there, and the bloke ain't got a mask on in there, and he'll tell everyone how it's an experimental vaccine. You shouldn't be taking it. COVID's made up. Lockdown's the way that the government used to control us. And you're like, he's just some old bloke works in the. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Mm.
I just don't have the time to. Not even the time, just the inclination to engage with these people. Or just
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that one now. Whenever someone sends you a message, like you just put okay, I'll send them a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm the thumbs up man these days. Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely shoots them down.
Yeah. Tony, you sent me a thumbs up quite a few times. What are you saying?
The other one I like is when people have a go at me on Twitter and I just like their message. That's something special that does.
Yeah.
Love a bit of passive aggressive.
Yeah.
But we nearly went a whole episode about mentioning Twitter or hating Twitter.
Yeah.
What would this show be without
it? Better.
What would comics be without it?
Yeah.
Better.
But thank you everyone for obviously getting involved on this and like putting forward your thoughts and your feelings, because they are all relevant, especially like whether you're a creator or the comic fan. it's your safety, whether or mental health or anything. All of that is totally important. So that's the importance of these sort of surveys as well.
Yeah.
It was a genuine.
But organisers can glean information this as well, that the way forward is reassuring congoers that they're going to be safe and you're taking precautions
completely
to minimise risk and cater for people in that regard.
I mean, the brilliant thing about this survey you did, Dan, is like you asked these questions, and also we've got responses, and there's a genuine information thread there that organisers can look at and then address these questions, and then look at it and go, well, these people are worried about this. I'll put your mind at ease, and hopefully
we should maybe make the results public. I'm not sure if that's. We'll discuss that among ourselves.
Yes, okay.
Yes. Yeah. We'll go to the bunker and figure that out.
Even if it's just the pie charts, man, just to put them out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, happy to put those out.
Just screenshot them and stick them on a tweet. Yeah.
The comments. But yeah.
Yes. But we're all in this together, and as it's convention season, I think that's a nice segue to.
Yeah. Look at this structure. It's rolling on.
Such structure. Yeah. Yes, as it's convention season, and as always, we are excited about Thought Bubble. And not just because we can hold each other for the first time.
Cup each other gently in a circle.
Oh, yes.
I need support. Here you go.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Yeah. Our musical version of the Human Centipede will be part. No, it won't be part of the festival.
Vince will be doing his dance.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. And so, Thought Bubble 2021. As always, we talk about that every year. The things we're excited about, and Chloe's going to be joining us next week.
Yes, we're excited on next guest.
Yeah. Always a good laugh talking with Chloe of Thought Bubble, and yes, and with that in mind, we're going to be in the spirit of like information and just because I think with Thought Bubble we're obviously excited about the event, and we're going to talk about the things that people can look forward to. But there's also we're gonna pose some questions, aren't we, Tony?
We are. So shall I do this bit?
Go for it.
Yeah.
So we are obviously a podcast of people who attend, and a lot of our listeners attend, and our friends attend, and we do a lot of conventions. So, like you say, V&D, knowledge is power around this sort of thing. We are, the intention is, and we've cleared this with Chloe. Vince has cleared it with her. We're going to be sending her some questions. They're not from us, they're from you. Now, all of these questions will be anonymized, whether you want them to be or not. Yeah? So if you've got a question for Chloe in relation to Thought Bubble, any aspect of Thought Bubble you want, send it to us, and we will send her a list of questions numbered 1 to 20 or whatever it's going to be. Yeah? She will decide which one she's going to answer. And then when she comes on the show, she will be answering your questions. They won't be our questions. And in that, and because they're anonymous, they allow for an honest assessment of how we are, where we are, and what we think currently of conventions and Thought Bubble. Yeah, which is very important, I think. I think the problem we have with social media is there's the usual people who want to endear themselves, I'd love to have a table next year. I've got this comic out about cats. It's like that. But no, even your question will be anonymized. So don't do it thinking you want to build your brand. Just if you've got a question, ask it. Yeah. Now I think we're gonna take questions. They're all gonna come to me, and I will die on a knife blade and will not give away who has asked these questions. I won't be telling Vince and Dan. I'll be keeping it to myself. And they will be then stuck into a Word document, which we will share, and then we will send to Chloe. So if you've got a question, if you've got my DMs, please don't send them to me. Yeah. It's private or direct messaging or email. Now get your pens ready because I'll give me email in a minute as well. So they can come to the any of our social media, my social media, or you can send them to tony.awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. So tony.awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Now there is a caveat with that. Be a proper decent person. Don't be horrible. Yeah, if you have failed to get a table, whatever your beef is with Thought Bubble, just be nice about it. You can ask a question. Just be a good, nice person.
4 minutes a question. Be nice. You can ask any question you like. We can't promise they're going to be answered.
Yeah. So we'll send them to Chloe, and she will choose what she's going to ask, and then we'll come on, and we will have a general conversation as well, because obviously we're pals with Chloe and have known her for years now. And she will also be answering your questions.
Yes. And it is because it's for Thought Bubble as well. Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Thought Bubble, guys, we love you. But it's also it's in the spirit of information. It's important to them that they let you know what's going on and what the safety protocols are for, and if there's questions about that and things like that. This is going to be a real information sort of episode, as well as, of course, there'll probably be a fart joke somewhere. Yeah. But no, it will be a genuine chance to sort of like, okay, I'd like to go to I'd like to know more about this, about Thought Bubble, and that's what Chloe's here for. She's always been great in the past. Like when we always throw questions at them, and this is the perfect opportunity right now to throw it over.
And I think
you lovely people.
I think the thing is, and we're not bringing this up. We're going to allow you to bring the questions up. There's been some peaks and troughs in the popularity of certain conventions, and Thought Bubble itself has had some troubles recently. And if you are going to ask about that, then just be nice about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the email again is tony.awesomecomicspod@gmail.com, or if you're on my socials, you can put it through there. But I won't be naming you. Guarantee no names will be passed over. Okay.
If there's a really sexy question, if there's a real how sexy
Vince's nudes again.
Yeah.
Then
you know it's my question.
If it's like, my name's Marina Sirtis, I live in Islington, then I'll be keeping it to myself.
That was oddly specific, Tony.
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Just random
place.
Out of the ether.
Yeah. So yes, that's going to be our show next week.
Forward to. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's no doubt after next week's episode we're going to be even more excited about Thought Bubble. Can't wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. A very thought-provoking topic this week. Very of the moment. And now back to the usual bollocks. Do we have any shout-outs?
I got a couple.
I had to bring the tone down. Do you know what I mean?
We need to get back to normal. I need to shake it off.
Yeah,
shake it off. Yeah.
Two.
Yeah.
Go on, you go first, Dee. Go on.
Down.
One Kickstarter and one comic which you can download by Shaney from the Collective of Heroes, which is Vanguard, part of basically the best superhero comics available on the web. And he's done a special of one of his characters called Giant, who wakes up in a vat with no memory, finding he's been augmented with insect DNA. Special agent Digger needs to piece together the events which brought him to this point, what his mission is before all hell breaks loose. And that's available to buy. You can download that as a print PDF. I'm not sure if there's a physical copy. I think it's only digital. And that's on the expansecomics.co.uk, and we'll put the full link in the show notes.
Cool.
While we're on the Collective of Heroes, a long-time creator and part of the group is Bill Wolko, who's done illustrations for the New York Times. He's done a lot of big illustration work for superhero characters, and you can see why when you see his style. He's putting together the final book of his creator-owned project called The Hero Business, which is, imagine a corporation that runs its own superhero gig, and this is like the final wrap-up of it. It's called the Hero Business Final Reports, and that's going to be launching on Kickstarter soon, and we've got one of those links where you can click I'm interested in this, and they'll send you a link when it goes live.
Cool.
That's me.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Future Egg Trilogy, featuring Mukbang by Matt Simmons, is on Kickstarter. It's done its numbers, but you need to get this. We love Matt, and he's super creative, hilariously funny, and a bit lively in his although he assures me there's no bum holes in this one. So yeah.
His fucking tweets has cracked me up.
Yeah.
They're a joy.
So I backed it. Get on it. It's good. If anyone can make Cats the musical entertaining, it's him.
Yeah.
You need to get his comics. Yeah, it's a good shout. There's also Strangers Fanzine presents Dynamite Diva by Jasper Jubaville. Also done its money, but still 2 weeks ago. And this is the hotness. Mr. Sparrow told us about this. Eddie told us about this from Strangers. Jasper Jubaville's comics are the hotness. Get on that. It's very important. Also, I was on episode 100 of Wits End, the Wits End podcast with Shah. Love Shah. And on it was another one of our buddies, Pete Dorey, which just involved everyone like drinking a lot and talking about really shit comics, which did amuse us. There was a bit of impulse comic buying going on eBay during it. It was that funny. So have a listen to that. I think that's out this week. And personal thanks to me to the Luton and Dunstable ambulance staff who may have saved my life last week. Not going into it. I can't imagine I'm the easiest patient in the world, but they were super patient. So
we don't know what you're talking about, Tony.
yeah. So thanks to them. There you go. They're my ones.
There you go. I've got a couple of Kickstarters. As we speak, No Brainer, issue 2.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm back this.
10 days left from our pal Edison Neo. Get on this so you discover a creator who's surely going to be huge in the next couple of years if there's anything right in the world. It's his solo anthology.
I don't think he works hard enough. I don't think he gets enough comics.
No, he doesn't make enough comics, does he?
Yeah.
He really needs to work hard. Yes, follow Edison.
Good lad, mate.
Yeah. And if you check out like his Instagram and social media, he's been doing commissions and stuff as well for like backers and all kinds. And it's always fantastic stuff. We've got we've got our own sort of originals, haven't we? So fucking awesome stuff. And also coming this week, I just got to make sure I get the date right. September the 21st is the Kickstarter. It's the launch of the Kickstarter of the final cast iron books title of 2021. Hans Vogel is Dead, Volume 1. Obviously Lizzie Kay, when she was on the show.
Oh, she mentioned this, didn't she?
This is
yeah.
Because Candles is now out in the world, and Hans Vogel is Dead is the final cast iron books title that's going to be launched. So check that out. Tuesday, September 21st.
Not the final forever, is it?
No, of 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You know, one of those publishers that has like schedules and books and all that jazz.
Oh, organised.
Oh, I don't know what that's like. But yes, so put that on your dates, or you might be listening to us later in the week. It's available now. Go on Kickstarter and look it up. And that is Hans Vogel is Dead. Is by Sierra Barnes, and well worth checking out. I believe it was a webcomic that is being collected. I believe so.
Okay,
there you go. But there'll be a link in the show notes, etc., etc. But definitely check it out.
Good stuff.
And there you go. That is the shout outs. So without further ado, we are absolutely smashing it this week, guys. Let's pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah.
Let's really congratulate ourselves for a job well done.
What?
Okay.
What are we doing there?
So let's
add in the sound effect, V.
Yeah, add in the zip going down.
I'm not doing that. That's too much work. But what we are going to do now is we're going to recommend, talk about some comics for you to add to your wish lists. Who would like to go first this week?
I don't mind going first.
Go on, Dan. Take it away.
Yeah. I saw this one. People were talking about this one on the line, and I thought I would check it out. And it's Kamen America, which I googled before the show. Kamen is masked, so masked America. Like you pointed out, Tony, Kamen Rider. Masked.
Was it Kamen Masked Rider or something? Is that right?
Masked Rider. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. But there we go. So it's art by Tim Lim, and writer is Mark Pellegrini. You might have seen this one, the cover for it. It's kind of like a manga-esque stylings of the main character. And I was totally not sure what I was getting when I read this. I just kind of bought the comic off of Comixology. I think it originally ran in Kickstarter last year or year before, and did really well. I should really Google that before I talk too much about it. But yeah, the synopsis goes this. Charlotte Carly Vanders was just a girl next door with dreams of being a fashionista. Her world was suddenly transformed one day after being impacted by cosmic debris. Shedding her corporate and media overlords, she is imbued with the American spirit of self-reliance and self-determination. She is the patriotic paladin known as Kamen America.
Paladin.
Paladin.
Did
I say that? Yeah.
Paladin.
What did I say? Paladin.
Paladin.
Yeah. Paladin, sorry. I didn't realize it's sort of a thinly veiled kind of like satirical take on Captain Marvel.
Oh, right.
Because Carly Vanders is Carol Danvers.
Oh, right.
And I was like, oh, okay. And it kind of it clocked in more when she gets her powers and becomes like starts working for a PR agency, and they call her Warhen. And I was like, Warhen, and I was like, Warbird. So oh, fuck me. That's
right.
that's that connection. Because didn't the Carol Danvers ran under that name for a while? Didn't she? Bird.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, she did.
So kind of if you kind of know your onions, you might sort of get that. It's a satirical comic. It's kind of definitely got right leanings. There's stuff in it that popped up, and I was like, I could have swore I've heard that before, but I had to Google it to find out where it was. They mentioned kind of like she has, when she gains her powers, she ends up getting into a scrap with like a Russian superhero who looks very similar to her, a similar power set because she got her powers the same way. And they fight rather than Afghanistan, they call it Kekistan. And have you heard that? I kind of good. Kek is like something funny, humorous. And Kekistan, they've got like a flag for it. And it comes from 4chan on their poll board, which is a bit of a hot topic place on the internet. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
So it's a bit edgy, as it were. The comic's got kind of like manga stylings, but the artwork's nice. It's not really my cup of tea. I could say about the whole comic. Like, I can see why it appeals to people, but it's not for me. The kind of the message of it is the girls kind of get when like the main character Charlotte Vanders, she's in school. They say like, well, you can do this baseball and you can go into science. And she says, well, I don't want to do any of those things. I just want to make dresses, like making clothes for people. And it's all about kind of like these messages being forced on these girls to sort of say, you can do this, you can do that. And it's like, well, I only want to do the things I want to do. I don't want to get forced into like these career structures by you. I want to be who I am. And essentially that's the kind of like the root of the comic, as she kind of strikes out for it and does what she wants to do herself.
Right.
It's an interesting one. There's it's a difficult one to talk about though. If you want to give it a go, give it a go. I mean, like the action scenes are fucking fantastic.
Is it long? Is it a trade or is it a short issue? Or
no, it's a collected. Well, it's an oversized first issue. I think.
Right. Okay.
Maybe, I'd have to Google it, but if it didn't feel like a 21-page comic, the action scenes are very kind of manga-esque, like massive explosions, people moving at speed, like Edison Neo does. Every kind of move they've got has got like a name that they shout out when they fire it, and hers are all kind of like justice and freedom and American kind of stuff as she blasts off.
So it's very satirical then, I'm guessing. Yeah,
it's very. There's a lot heavy satire in it. It's not, like I said, not my cup of tea, but you might really enjoy it. Maybe give it a shot. I don't think it's very much on Comixology, but apparently it's gone on. It's on to a second or third issue now, and it's doing great guns and doing really well. So maybe I'll check out the second one and see if they've kind of like refined the formula to something that appeals to me more. But okay. So that's Kamen America Stars and Strife.
Good stuff.
So check that out.
Nice.
V, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I'm going to talk about Earthworks, which
I've got this.
Oh yes,
it's been hitting a lot of people's sort of inboxes, post boxes, etc. This is written by Martin Hayes with art and lettering by Alfie Gallagher and featuring photography by James Doherty. It's a one-shot horror comic set in rural Ireland. I hate saying the word rural because I can't. My R's are terrible.
Rural.
You know when you say a word too much and it just becomes nonsense. Anyway.
It's like when Jonathan Ross refers to high-ranking officers. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yes, it's 40 pages, black and white. There's some back matter in it as well about how the book came to be. And this book, obviously it was doing the rounds. It looks glorious. I got some badges with mine and a absolutely fantastic sketchbook from Alfie.
Yeah, me too. I got that as well. Yeah, nice one.
Yeah, Alfie's work is always sublime. Got an original up on my wall. So I came for Alfie, but I stayed for the rest of the story. And this is a really, it springs to mind to me And in the back matter, Martin obviously writes about it. This was a story that very much during lockdowns and stuff. It was two creators coming together who worked together before and like, let's just do something. Let's just work in a looser style, a looser script. Do it about whatever you want. And Martin wanted to do something on the Hexam Heads. Have you heard about the Hexam Heads?
No.
We find out about them in the back of the book, so I'm not going to read it all out because it's fair.
So for a watch of it.
Yeah. Because it is like one of those legends of someone found like these sort of ancient stone heads buried in the ground, and then once they had them, bad things started happening, like terrible things, or people started seeing things. That was the seed of the story. But this is basically they've taken that, and it's not, as Martin says, it's not a research-heavy non-fiction retelling of that. But it takes that and just puts in lots of other things to become its own story. And it is about a couple who move into this house, and it starts off straight away. He's what's the name of the character now? The guy, I can't remember the name of the guy. But the male figure is sort of digging up the garden with a JCB, and he digs up these heads, and they're a bit weird. They're fantastic design to them. He's sort of fascinated by them, but this couple that own this house have had troubles in the past. Something that they want to find out more about it, but also they don't want to. Don't want to be put in the public eye. There's sort of like he's just got out of prison, and you find out, obviously naturally over these 40 pages, those things are revealed and the dark reasons for it, which weren't necessarily what I thought they would be. As is going on,
right.
A lot of the storytelling is told, not so much specifically. It's not given to you on a plate. There's a lot of it is told with Alfie's dream-like double-page spreads, of which there's a few. You get flashes of moments back in time, as well as hints to something that happened in the past. And then you go, as the normal day carries on, there's a rising sense of things getting more and more messed up. And then they wake up one morning and there is like a goat or a ram has been mutilated outside their house. And what's done that? So there's those sort of mysteries. It feels like it feels like an Irish horror film.
It's like a folk horror thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's definitely that Irish folk horror vibe which is going through it. And it doesn't. It sort of answers some questions, leaves a lot of things up to the reader to sort of fill in the dots. I felt like I knew where, but when it finished, I got a sense of what had happened. In an ideal world, I would have liked another 5-10 pages of it. That's, give me more pages. You're not what, yeah. But just to sort of embellish or not paint a clearer picture for me, but just add a little bit more, not subtext, but just a little bit more to some of the things I wanted a little bit more information.
Depth to maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alfie's artwork is lovely as always. He's gone for there's like a sketchy, inky sort of style. There's lots of cross hatching. I love a bit of cross hatching. It's a real sort of you can zone out doing cross hatching.
Right.
Yeah, when you're doing that, it's just, and then you look back, it creates a lovely pattern. So there's wonderful artwork going here. Alfie does, I believe it's all original artwork. So the original pages of this must look beautiful. Lots of ink washes. But yes, if you got it on the Kickstarter, you obviously there's lots of people posting online about how they got it and loved it. And certainly, I had this. I took a chance this weekend. It sort of sat on the side on the top of my to read pile, and yeah, I got a kick out of it. But it feels like say an Irish horror movie that you discover on Amazon. Do you know what I mean? I've watched some absolute crackers in that sort of genre, but I don't necessarily know if it answers everything, but also does it need to answer everything?
Fair play.
Yeah, it leaves mysteries, and for a one and done, it does exactly what it says on the tin. You know, I mean, it's not like I didn't feel like the story had not been told. Which is what you got to do. Yeah, in those 40 pages. Yeah. Plus the back mat is really good as well. If you find out about it, and there's some lovely photography in it. So yeah, it's you get your money's worth, which is what you want from a comic. So there you go.
Yeah, mine's at work actually. I must read mine this week.
Risk of sounding critical here. The cover, I really like the cover, but it doesn't, for me, reflect the tone of the story.
I thought it was more of a sci-fi story from seeing that cover.
I do understand that. I do understand that. There's a certain I'm sure there's elements to that cover that are going completely above my head. It's a very designy cover.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong cover, but my only thing is I don't think like it tonally represents what the story's about.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, the interiors are so specifically about those stone heads.
Yes,
they crop up all the way through it. It's a surprise it's not on this cover. But from what I need to read this, but I see what you mean by that, guys. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker for design anyway, so that covers like
same. Like
you tend to like that more sort of both of you actually. I noticed that from covers of the week. You tend to like that more sort of graphic design style, don't you?
Yeah. Since looking at our cover choices, Tony, I see you kind of like go
more the old schooly.
Yeah. And it's, to be honest, the heavier graphic design stuff really pops out to me on the thumbnails. Yeah. That's usually where I go for them.
Okay, That Black Widow one this week, which the smoke of the gun looked like the undoing of her dress, was just fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I love that cover. Yeah,
there's that one at the beginning of the series where she's kind of like straddling over the top of the city, and the Black Widow and lights is dropping down towards.
Yeah, they're good covers,
aren't
they?
Yeah, they're really man, what a cover!
Yeah. Strength of the cover, baby. Yes, that's mine.
Becoming more and more important.
There you go. What's yours?
Mine's The Telepaths, issue 1 of 6, put out by AWA Upshot. It's Teen Plus, and it's $3.99 for a physical copy. Speaking of covers, guys, I sent you the cover of this one, didn't I?
Yeah.
And this is the Spot Who They've Traced the Film Star Off cover. Give me a couple of hours, I'd work out every single person on this cover, I think. But there's Bruce Campbell, Samuel L. Jackson at the top there, you know.
I don't use reference for famous people anymore for characters because it just looks like that actor or actress, and
it's almost the point where it's
illusion.
It's almost, I mean, there's various levels of reference, and I completely understand that reference is important. I completely understand that even sometimes tracing is useful, but I think this isn't. But I think sometimes when you're just drawing over the top of photographs, it takes it out for me, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but anyway.
We've all done that as a shorthand, haven't we? Like you say, I imagine this character is like Samuel Jackson in this film, but not. I don't mean fucking make it exactly like Samuel Jackson in that film.
I know, which they've done.
Use it as a starting point.
Yeah, even the same hairline, everything, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that is the most critical bit I'm going to be of this comic because I actually quite enjoyed it. So it's written by J. Michael Straczynski, and I'm a sucker for JMS. Art by Steve Epting, who is a solid. He's done some, Velvet's amazing. He's done some great comics. Colours by Brian Reber, letters by Sal Cipriano, variant covers by Mike Diodato Jr. and Lee Larridge. So the story is a comet and some form of sort of atmospheric disturbance caused the population of Earth to pass out. Planes crash, as we get with Village of the Damned and all these sort of things. Everything. If everyone just passed out for a second, the world. There's all sorts of catastrophes happen, don't they? Mm. Now, a few of these people who survive and wake up display telepathic abilities. Now, I'm a sucker for telepaths in comics and other mediums. I don't know why, I just am. Everything from Espers, do you remember that book?
Yeah.
Beautiful team of psychics, to movies like Push or Scanners, stuff like that. I'm just a sucker for that sort of thing.
I think comics are a great way to tell those stories because it gives you that ability to see people's thoughts.
Yeah,
quite easily. Whereas in other medium, they have to think of ways.
Yeah, they just put their fingers to their temples or something, and it's all in a visual medium. It doesn't work on film, but it can work better in a comic because you can put effects in and stuff. Yeah. So how will this change? How will they? So at the moment, we're in a definitive setup issue. You've got an aide to the president. She discovers it. There's a sequence where she knows there's a gun hidden in this museum they're in. There's a uniform cop, and there's a sort of gang leader who's on death row. So it's typical JMS setup episode. It is totally a TV episode. I'm not hiding that at all. It doesn't necessarily make it a bad comic, I'll put it that way, but it is totally like something JMS would write for TV. I like his stuff. I really love Babylon 5. I was so on board with that. And Jericho, if you ever watched that series Jericho, did you see that one?
No, I didn't see that one.
No,
that's a cracker.
About that. Yeah.
Midnight Nation, I think, is an evergreen book. I think it's a really good comic. He did with Gary Frank. Rising Stars, which is a series of books and comics he did, which is kind of like Highlander for superheroes. As people get killed, the powers, Supreme Power, which is Squadron Supreme, the series he did at Marvel Max, is great. I wasn't so hot on his Spider-Man. I wasn't so hot on his Superman, but he's done some great stuff. It is a setup issue. The art in the interior, other than the cover, is solid. It is extremely densely written. JMS is not a man who says two words, is he? And it's very typical of these diverse group of people who we're seeing in their own lives before and after the event we know in the next few issues are going to come together to form a team to do something, or one of them's maybe the bad guy, or it's very sort of prototypical of TV series that we've seen. But I find it super intriguing. I enjoy this sort of stuff. He speaks a bit. There's a bit of an interview or a bit of a piece he writes in the back of it, and he talks about this is like the first miniseries in a series of miniseries. So the first 6-issue miniseries, and then there's going to be another one. There's going to be another one. He's going to build in this world, and I'm on board for that. I like that sort of thing. I think he's got a nice band of characters already who I want to see interplay, see who's going to be good, who's going to be bad, whose powers are going to be the most powerful. There's an element to that with stuff like Scanners and stuff like this, and. He had that telepath war in season 5 to a certain extent, season 5 of Babylon 5, didn't he? But I'm just going to see where it goes. I as soon as it said there's a comic called Telepaths, I thought, and it's written by JMS, I'm going to be on board it. It's a fairly mainstream choice, guys. It's not really my usual sort of underground kind of choice, but it's just up my street, really. So that's one. Yeah,
nice. So go forth and check that out. I mean, mainstream? Is it mainstream? It's AWA, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure. So it's not selling bundles, It's it's okay. Yeah.
Check it out. And thank you for checking out this week's show, of which we were highbrow, lowbrow, monobrow, whatever you want to call us. We were probably that. And we really hope you enjoyed this show and whatever we talked about this week. If you want to let us know about any other, obviously we're talking about certain comic events like obviously Meanwhile, The Lakes and Football upcoming. If there's any other smaller events or anything like this that you think need a shout out and a bit of promo, and let us know. You can because we'll always put them in the shout outs. Comics are for everyone. We want to see comics. Email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Once again, send your questions to tony.awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @theawesomepod. Well, you never know what you're going to get from that.
Can I just say the cut-off for questions is Thursday night, so Thursday midnight.
What's the date then, Tony?
God, what's the date then?
Thursday the
24th, 23rd.
23rd.
Yeah. Thursday
we know
23rd.
time. Thursday the 23rd of September. There you go. So you got until then. If you do the Book of Faces, go to facebook.com/Awesome Comics Podcast. Join the community group that's on Facebook, Awesome Comics Talk. Great bunch of people on there, there is on the Slack channel. If you want,
the Slack was on fire this weekend. It was a place of much hilarity.
So yes, join and get in touch. And where should they go to find out more about how to get involved on that?
Just contact any of us. We'll send you the link.
There you go. Simple as that. Thank you for listening to us, whether it's on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe and leave a review. It helps get the word out about the show and everything we talk about every week. If you listen to us on any other networks like Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, what are the networks we on, Tony?
We're on a little bit of a niche podcast network called Pod. Is your name Lou?
Oh, God.
Little inside joke. Yeah, some people will get that.
Yeah, for a bit.
Shout out to
No.
Davis and Falk.
Oh dear. And where can people find us online, etc.? Dan.
You can find me on Twitter at Vanguard Comic, and you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com. And you can also check out my Patreon, where I try to upload daily
You really do.
stuff about Soviet Strike Viper, which is I'm putting my foot down, fucking getting that done.
There you go. And Tony.
Neveronanything.com is links to patrons, podcasts, articles, comics, etc.
There you go. And you can find me on the socials at Jester Diablo. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. If you're a new listener, thank you for joining us. There's loads of stuff in the past that you can check out. Yeah, we talk to decent people, and then you just have to listen to us waffle around it. But stay tuned. Yeah, thank you. We've had a nice sort of uptake in listeners recently, so we really do appreciate it.
So let's get those questions in for Chloe next week.
Yes, exactly. But no matter what you're doing in the week, we hope you are happy, healthy, and doing okay wherever you are. We hope you're enjoying your comics, because that's the reason this show exists, because we enjoy comics. Whatever you're
get in that repile. Get your repile sorted.
Yes.
That's what I did first day, a couple of days this week. Just went in that repile. Yeah.
Yes. Perhaps we should... No, we shouldn't have a show about talking about our repiles. That would just be never ending. But wherever you are in the world, thank you very much for listening. From Dan, Tony, and myself. Have a brilliant week. Read loads of comics. Make loads of comics. We love you. Don't we, Dan?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Tony would as well, but I'm not going to let him say no.
Yeah.
And as always, what should they do, guys?
Stay awesome.
Oh, we fucked that up.
What are you talking about? It sounded good to me. Well, you spoiled it.
Now I fucked it up.
Nah. Oh, dear. Oh, well, there's always next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.